It ain't your granddaddy's mythology. We're talking about God of War on One Shots. Hey everybody, it's Jake here on the first episode of One Shots. Now, One Shots, it's going to be a little ambiguous. So it's essentially just special episodes where outside of maybe a retrospective or a review, we can really gush about a certain property, whether it be, well, think of it as an extended version of the long box. It's pretty much what One Shots is. Sometimes Tyler and I will be doing it together. Sometimes, like right now, I'll be doing it solo. Tyler will be doing it solo as well. So it's just a little extra content for you. And I thought, with God of War Ragnarok coming out, why not talk about, I would say, probably my favorite video game series, if not up there in top 5. And I think that really boils down to, and I hope that my thesis statement is true with what we're doing with One Shots. I have a thesis statement that most of the times you get attached to something very early in a formidable time and you just cling on to it. And it's not a bold statement. It's an obvious statement. But I think it'll keep playing out the more we do these episodes. Because this series starts all the way back in 2005 on the PlayStation 2. And I remember it vaguely before it came out. I remember seeing some stuff on TV occasionally. But I really didn't. I mean, I was casually into video games. I mean, we didn't have. I grew up in a pretty modest household, and video games, which are $70 now in some cases, were around like $50 at the time, which is still a lot for a kid to ask for, especially if the game is, going to be M-rated, where your parent is like, I don't think I'm going to buy that for you. That happened a few times. Although I did sneak into my, because at the time I think my brother and I shared a room, and he got it for Christmas, and he was of an older age to get it. He was like 16, maybe 17. And so I played it a few times. And then I got the cheat codes. And then eventually my parents just gave up. They're like, he's a lost cause. So that's really the only game. Yeah, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas is like the only game that I really played religiously outside of sports games. Because my dad and I used to play the football games all the time. Madden and NCAA. So I was not a huge gamer, but I remember one time I got this demo disc, and it was like just a random, I think, first-party studio PlayStation demo disc, or there's a couple of them. God of War's on it. The very first level, when you fight the Hydra, is on that demo. And I probably played that demo thousands of times because I didn't think I could convince my parents to let me get it. I didn't think that, sorry, I clicked on the mic there. I didn't think that I could do enough chores to get it. I feel like they would just keep moving the goalposts. There, I said it. Calling out my parents. But I just never thought I could play it, so I just kept playing that demo over and over again. And then by the time God of War 2 rolls around in 2007, I'm like 13 or 14 at the time. So my parents are like, well, maybe he could probably play a little bit more mature games. He seems to understand it. He's seen a little bit more violent movies. Maybe he can deal with it. My parents are kind of progressive in the video game sense, where they thought it was harmless, really, because it is. Playing violent video games doesn't make you a violent person. We all know this. Common sense. But it took them a while to catch up. Anyway, I had enough money. I've been doing chores and stuff, so actually, that's not true. I remember now. I mixed up that order. I never got to actually play God of War all the way through. I just kept playing the demo. And then God of War 2 came out, and I was like, hey, I think I remember what this game is. I remembered what Kratos looked like. So I was like, oh. So at the time, it was a movie gallery. Back when you used to be able to go to a store and rent games and movies. I remember I rented it. Then when I played it, it had a big scratch on the disc, so I couldn't finish the part that I wanted. So then I returned it, got an extra 7 days for free because of the guarantee thing that they had. So then I got to play through it again, and I didn't get a chance to beat it. And then, a couple years later, I'm working a part-time job in high school, save up some money. I buy a PS3 off my my cousin, I believe, because he had an extra. It was a whole thing. I essentially just bought a PS3 off my cousin for a cheaper price. And so I got that, and then I proceeded to buy the God of War collection before God of War 3 came out. Now, at that time, I'd finally borrowed the God of War 2 from another friend, finished it, never finished God of War 1. So then when and the way that God of War 2 ends on such a fantastic cliffhanger, I could not handle that 3-year wait. You got to understand, that was brutal. Just absolutely brutal, that wait from 2007 to 2010. Because I had so many ideas, so many theories of what it was going to be and what God of War 3 could be and everything like that. And I just remember getting the collection because first of all, I hadn't finished God of War 1, and it had trophies, and it had the E3 2009 demo for God of War 3. Where it's the one where he rips off Helios's head, and it's fucking gnarly. And I'm like, okay, I got to put an investment in this. So I bought the collection, went back, beat the first game, beat the second game again, went through another existential crisis as I waited for God of War 3 to come out. And and it's kind of funny how this stuff really goes full circle. Where as a kid, I'm playing the first God of War as a demo disc for so long, over and over and over again. Then, as a kid in high school, I'm playing God of War 3's E3 demo over and over and over again because I couldn't wait for this game to come out. Again, had a part-time job, so I had the money, bought that game, day one comes out, and God of War 3 just blew me away. And as we are approaching 7 minutes in this one shot, I have yet to explain the title of Understanding Kratos, but we're getting there. So I finished God of War 3, and I remember feeling okay with the ending, but also kind of like, I don't know, man, because you spent so much time with Kratos, and by the way, there's only 2 God of War games that I have not played, and I probably never will. God of War Ascension and God of War Ghost of Sparta. Anything after God of War 3, I just didn't play because for me, God of War 3 was the end. That's it. I don't need another prequel story and another weird timeline inconsistency with Ascension because it's kind of, I don't know. Point is, God of War 3 was the end. And so when 2016 rolls around, E3 2016, I don't have a PS4 at the time, but I'm sitting there watching E3 because I love E3. And then I see it. I see that amazing E3 trailer and footage, and I'm just like, holy shit. Because I had not cared about God of War for so long. It had been such a distant memory, it felt like. It's a 6-year gap. So then, 2018 rolls around, get a PS4. First thing I do, and by the way, this is how much I love this series. I bought the game for $60, not having a PS4. I had a friend who had one. I said, hey, can I borrow your PS4 for a week to play this game? Sure, I'll do that. Lets me borrow the PS4. I play the game, beat it in a week. It's incredible. Incredible. Unbelievable how good that game is. It shouldn't be as good as it is how good God of War 2018 is. And then I don't sell the game. I thought after I beat it, I would sell it. I gave my friend his PS4 back, but I held on to that game, not having a PS4. Eventually, do get a PS4, thanks to my lovely wife. And so, because I really wanted to play Spider-Man, but then I was like, oh, great. I played it on my friend's PS4 and got the trophies on his PS4. I need to get trophies for me. So I went through and beat God of War 2018 a second time. And it's kind of amazing how much this character, this story, when you think about it, starting in 2000, even before 2005, because of how writing and making the game works, but early 2000s until 2022, we have this same character, one narrative, all the way through. We don't have any he stars in every single game. There's no spin-offs without him in it, and it still gets me excited, and it still feels like I'm that kid again. And that's so damn exciting. But because the story has grown and the character has grown is the way I have grown, this is going to feel so much more emotional and have such a different impact on me. And I cannot express how much I love that because, as we're talking, understanding Kratos is a great example of what can happen when you give in to your most basic, jealous, selfish, somehow justified in your mind vendetta. And it's kind of great because every story that has to tackle this has to come down to the basic truth. Vengeance never solves anything. And that's really the story of Kratos. All he cares about is vengeance. And when he gets his vengeance, he kills almost every god in the Greek pantheon. And that still wasn't enough. And he I don't know. I'm really unpacking this stuff here. But that's, again, what I love about Kratos and why I think it's such an amazing job. And I haven't yet to play Ragnarok. It's not even out yet. But to see how that character has grown and to really identify that, because when I played those original games, I was the target demo. I was a 13 to 16-year-old, or well, I'd say 13 to 18-year-old boy. You got blood and gore and sometimes boobs. I'm going to play it. It's just what it is. And to have that games and still have those games and understand that those probably aren't for me anymore because that's just not who I am anymore. You could argue that. I went back and I've played God of War and God of War 2 and God of War 3 recently. I think they're all pretty fun and hold up. And I think Kratos being more brutal and angry and mean really benefits the new stories and would benefits the Norse duology because you could, I'm not saying everybody's like Kratos, obviously, but I'm saying you could say that you could level with him in a way if you understand where he's coming from. Every person he loves dies. Every person, his brother he loved dies, kills his family. His wife, his daughter, he gets a chance at a new life. His wife dies again. He has to raise this son by himself who he's been absent from because he's afraid. And it's like and I know they made a joke of it kind of in the marketing for Ragnarok, but it's true. That is such a believable, understanding story. And I really loved the game when I played it in 2018. I went back and played it this year. Being a parent, it's cliche, but it's true. This game makes so much sense because there is that anxiety. That is that fear of, I don't want to cause this person pain. I don't want to give this person a bad impression of what life, there's so much going into parenting and so many anxieties and so many thoughts and voices in your head about how you can do these things, the anxieties. So being afraid of each other, that's such a relatable, understanding story. And I don't mean it in being afraid of each other like, I'm scared. I'm being like afraid of failing that person. And that's what this story is all about because all Kratos has done is failed himself because he refuses to forgive himself for what he did. And that having that being the big climactic moment in God of War 3, did it feel a little cheesy? Yes. But I think it was important to have those moments of Kratos finally understanding, I have to let this go. Because it's him just constantly dealing with the grief of the mistakes and the errors that he made. And you could argue he deserved it. He made a deal with the devil. He made a deal with Ares. You can make those arguments. But I liked that we got a little bit of that. And I still think, and my favorite thing about it, when Cory Barlog was talking about it, it was Kratos is teaching Atreus how to be a god. Atreus is teaching Kratos how to be a man. And it's such a true thing. And I'm all over the place. I'm sorry. I really love this series, and I really can't wait to play the game. And I shouldn't have done this video because now I'm hyping myself up to get ready for the game. Anyway, it's just there's so much in the God of War 2018 game that I Like, I played that game 3 times now. Played it all the way through 3 times. And I'm still catching things and picking up things that I missed the first, the other 2 times. And I'm sure if I play through it again a 4th time, I'll miss things again. And it's okay because I love the ride. The ride there is amazing. And even in the moments where Atreus is being a kid and being frustrating and not listening to you. And, yeah, there's so much of this game that I'm starting to really deeply understand more as I'm getting older and becoming a parent. Kratos grew up with me. It's amazing. That's the whole point of this video. Kratos grew up with us, and that's fucking cool. You don't get an opportunity in a game or in a franchise where you can see that kind of character growth and that kind of long-term storytelling. And the fact that God of War 2018 acknowledges those other 3 games and brings them into the canon. And yes, it does kind of have some ties to the prequels and everything like that, but those 3, that original trilogy still being canon really benefits this game. It really benefits the growth of the character. And I just... Because, I mean, I went back and played God of War 3, and it is a nasty, mean, brutal game. And to go from the intro of that, where you're killing fucking Poseidon, and a first-person view of you watching yourself do these actions where you gouge the guy's eyes out, slam him against a rock, and throw him... Like... To have that to cut to Kratos chopping down a tree, feeling the bark, seeing it was marked with a handprint and cutting it down. The deliberate choice to make a silent, somber, slow intro to this new Kratos was so smart and so brilliant. And I could talk forever about the brilliance of just that game, of just, for someone who's been with this series the whole time, to see those little touches back to that original trilogy, it's fucking cool. When you see Zeus in Helheim, holy shit, that's amazing. And I've already talked about it on the podcast of when you get the Blades of Chaos and how fucking, gratifying it is to have Kratos come to terms with himself and accept who he is. And even though we kind of got a glimpse of it in God of War 3, we really get it driven home here in God of War 2018, and it's fucking rad. Whew. So understanding Kratos... I understand him because I think all of us can identify with the Kratos in the original trilogy. He had lived a whole life. I'm not saying identically, but we've all been that person that's been vengeful and rageful and angry. That's just a part of learning who you are as a person. Now, most people, when they're like that, they get help and they figure out and they learn how to control their emotions. They don't kill a bunch of people like Kratos, but hey, the gods were dicks, so I guess we'll let it go. And then to see where we are now, where we are happy and healthy and we understand our emotions and we're functioning adults in society. It just takes time. It just, most people it takes from their 20s to their 30s, where Kratos takes a couple thousand years to grow up. It's all right. It's fine. It's fine. We still love him. I can't wait for God of War Ragnarok. I will also have a video up on that at some point. I'm not going to tell you when because I don't know when I'll finish that game, but I would love to talk about it on the show. So, yeah, look out for the God of War Ragnarok review. Whenever I get it finished, as you know, I've got other responsibilities. I got work. I got a family. So I can't, put it up as a normal video game journalist because I'm not. So I'll just get it up when it gets up. You understand, right? I'm sorry. This has been an episode of One Shots. If you want to play any of the games that I recommended, I will have some links in the description of where you can pick them up. PlayStation Plus. That's where you can pretty much get them. But I'll leave a link down there so you can play those games, because you should. And, yeah. Bop, bop. I don't know if that should be the sign-off.
Off panel, off topic with Jake and Tyler.